But gold, when it's put through the fire, becomes what? Even more precious and pure. You will be taken through, young people, many fires in your life. It will be your reaction to the fire that defines you. Will you keep your faith and stay committed, like Don being him, even when the world around you is in turmoil? Will you keep hoping and dreaming and pursuing your passions and dreams like Bob Radcliffe, even if you have to wait till later in your life? Like Alicia, will you keep loving people and stay loyal to them even when they let you down or use you? It's your choice. Will you continue to believe what has been said to and about your generation, or will you choose to live a golden life, a life that matters, a life of faith, hope, and love? Appreciate all of you. Thank you all. Have a great FFA.
Thank you so much for your words. At the 87th Annual National FFA Convention, this person's life was forever changed. Serving as the National Secretary, she will travel nearly 300 days over the next year, serving our organization and representing the over 600,000 FFA members across the nation. Originally from Emerson, Arkansas, and an agricultural business and pre-law major at the University of Arkansas, Victoria Malik is a member of Chi Omega sorority, active in the Student Alumni Board, in Collegiate FFA, with the Collegiate Farmer Bureau, and is a Volunteer Action Center literacy mentor. As a student at Emerson High School in Columbia County, Arkansas, she served as Arkansas FFA Association President, Chapter President, and Secretary. Within the FFA, she was the Star Chapter Farmer, State Prepared Public Speaking winner, and chairman of the State Parliamentary Procedure Team, among other great accomplishments. Upon graduating from the University of Arkansas, Victoria plans to combine her love of talking and politics with her passion for agriculture by focusing on agricultural policy or agricultural lobbying, as well as legislation regarding hunger and food insecurity. She would also like to serve as an elected official. During her year of service, Victoria hopes to encourage a more active and diverse membership and inspire passion for the organization and members. Members and guests, please join me in welcoming to the stage our National FFA Secretary, Ms. Victoria Malik.
I get to travel around all throughout the year, and I'm actually 2/3 of the way done. So this is state number 33 since November for me. And there's one thing I figured out in my approximately 24 hours of being in West Virginia. You stole all of California's rain. I'm pretty sure it's all here. I'm going to call them up and say that they can have some of it back so we can have a little bit of clearness throughout the rest of the week. But looking around this camp, it's very similar to my home convention. We have ours at our FFA camp. It feels very much like this, and I kept thinking about swimming, and we would always go swimming in our swimming pool, but at home, the closest thing we had to a swimming pool was a pond. Anybody else there with me? Nobody? There are a few? Okay, at least I don't feel too bad about it now. So we would go swimming in the pond, but those few occasions where we got to go to an actual swimming pool were a big deal, okay? So, you know, those people in your life where you look up to and you're like, I'm just going to be just like them. Yeah, I was not very smart when I was little, and those were my brother and sister. It was before, you know, anybody else in here realize that they're the best child their parents ever had? Yeah. Well, this was before I realized that. So we were swimming at my aunt and uncle's pool, and I was watching my brother and my sister. They were 9 and 12 years older than me, and they were jumping off the diving board. And I'm sitting over here in the shallow end, kind of thinking, dang, well, this is no fun. I got my Barbie floaties on. Yes, Barbie floaties. I'm sitting there watching them jump off and have a blast. So I think, you know what? I'm just going to go do that too. So I proceed to take my floaties off. And I walk over to the deep end. And nobody stops me. I'm 4 years old. Nobody stopped me. So I get up on the diving board and I jump off. That's when everybody goes, oh, wait. The 4-year-old jumped in the deep end. We should probably do something about that. So my uncle jumps in, gets me, picks me up, and sets me on the edge of the pool. Well, you'd think, understandably, I'd be very shaken and upset and just afraid. No, I was ticked. I put my hands on my hip and I said, Uncle Mike, what did you do that for? I was swimming. He said, no, baby. You were drowning. I had no clue what I could not do. And my role models, my brother and my sister, they were doing it, so nothing was going to stand in my way. And that's how we all were when we were younger. We think that the limits are endless and there's no boundaries. But we get older and we put ourselves in these little boxes. We get comfortable, we become complacent, and we become afraid to jump off into that deep end of the unknown. For me, there's this one thing that I've always been terrified of. That thing that's kept me so deep within the middle of my comfort zone that it's not even funny. And admittedly, it's a little bit embarrassing. And so at 18, have any of you ever had your mother finally just decide, you know what, this thing about my child bothers me, so I'm just going to make them fix it. You know, they try to at least. Well, mine did at 18. She decided, okay, this is enough. So I'm sitting on the couch watching TV. And she gives me this task that's going to, in her mind, fix the problem. And I sit there, and I think, okay, maybe I'll just pretend like I didn't hear it. I'm going to keep watching my TV shows. And then there's that point, you know, when moms get real mad and they break out the middle name. Anybody had the middle name broken out on before? It's okay. We can all hang our heads in shame. We've all had the middle name broken out sometime. So I'm sitting there and I hear Victoria Alexandra Malik. Yes, ma'am. You get out there right now. Okay, so I get up and I walk to the door, pull on my muck boots, zip up my jacket, head outside. I get about halfway there. And I'm thinking, you know what, maybe I can just turn around, go back inside the house, and it'll all be okay. Mom will forget about it. But then I realized that after the middle name's broken out, what comes next, usually? The wooden spoon, maybe. But the thing that I was thinking of in my mind was that whole, like, I brought you into this world and I will take you out. Look, my mom's got that down good. She's got it down pat, I'm telling you. So I wasn't sure if I was more scared of this thing that she was having me go do or more scared of that look. So I kept on going. And I keep going and I see it. It's the barn in my view. And I walk inside and that's when it happened. The thing that was going to save me. My pink show stick. So I grabbed my pink show stick and I walk back inside. Okay, here we are. Gave myself a little pep talk. We can do this. You got your show stick to defend yourself. What's the worst thing they can do? Which turns out to be the wrong question to ask yourself at that point in time, because then I proceeded to remind myself of all of the reasons that I didn't like this. But I sucked it up and took a deep breath, stepped inside. Yeah, okay, so hopping over here, trying to defend myself with this show stick. This is not working out. This is like a hot mess, like definition of a hot mess. So I get out of there as fast as I can. Whew. So I completely failed at this. This thing that I'm completely, utterly, undeniably terrified of. You know, these things, they're evil looking. Do you have beady little eyes? And they just try to intimidate you. And if you listen real close, it sounds like they're saying, "Oh, get ya." That's right. I am completely, utterly, undeniably terrified of chickens. Yep. Grew up showing cattle that asked me to hold, touch, or really get within a 5-foot radius of a chicken. Nope. Not gonna happen. Bye, Felicia. I'm out. Not happening. I'd let myself become so overwhelmed by this fear that I never pushed myself. My mom pushed me to take that step, and you know what? I was still terrified. But when I got in there with my pink show stick, I still didn't get an egg, but I got in there, and that was more than I'd done in many, many years. And as I took a step towards the edge of my comfort zone, that place where I was really uncomfortable and scared, I found something. Found a little bit of confidence there. In life, our fears might not be something as silly as chickens. I get it. I understand that it's an irrational fear. But we've got those things that aren't so irrational. It might be that fear of not fitting in. That fear of failure. That fear of getting up from our table in the cafeteria and going and sitting with a student that's alone. We're afraid of how people are going to look at us. I've been there. We've all been there. We're afraid sometimes of who we truly are. So we cover up ourselves with the newest cool trend, the newest cool person to hang out with. We put on this costume, this fake version of ourselves, and we get deeper and deeper inside our comfort zone. Never becoming the best version of who we are because we're okay with, you know what, smooth sailing, why mess it up? We're not doing anything sitting there and not growing. We're never going to become the best version of ourselves until we're willing to take that step forward towards the edge of our comfort zone and find a little bit of that confidence. And for me, I got a little bit of that confidence from my mom, but showing cattle, like I talked about, I did learn one important rule. How many livestock showers do we have in here? What about cattle? Do we have any cattle showers of those livestock showers? Okay, me too. The number one rule, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The number one rule my daddy always taught me from day one, don't let go. Yeah, I learned that one the hard way. So I'm telling you what, no matter if it was rope burns on my hands, running around, overextending my legs, running after a cow, I was not letting go. Until a National Junior Brangus show in Stillwater, Oklahoma a few years back. It was my last year showing in high school, and we were doing great, having a great week. It was just me and Dad. We had 2 heifers there. But those of us that have shown livestock or even just have any sort of animals, they know exactly where they get fed and where do they go when it's time for food. Exactly to that place. Well, it was the end of the week at this cattle show, and my cow was ready to go home. So she sees this trailer out there, and she starts picking up speed. And picking up speed, and picking up speed. And that's where she'd been fed and where she'd been tied out all week. And so before I knew it, we were in a full-out sprint, which homegirl don't sprint very much, okay? We're in a full-out sprint, and I'm weak. Couldn't hold on any longer. Getting dragged across gravel, and finally I can't hold on and I let go. My dad comes running up to me, and as tears streaming down my face, blood on the back of my legs from being dragged on gravel, he looks at me and says, "Baby, why didn't you let go?" "Daddy, you told me never to let go." He rolls his eyes. I'm like, "Thanks, Dad." He said, "Well, maybe I should have been a little more specific with my blonde daughter. When you're being run across gravel, it's okay to let go." But a lot of times in our lives, there's those things that we want to hold on to so much, but they're really just dragging us through the gravel and the mud. What are you hanging on to that you need to let go of? It might be that friendship or that relationship that's really not making you any better. It's pulling you back and making you a person that even sometimes when we're honest with ourselves, we don't like. Maybe it's that bad habit we need to let go of, or that bad influence that we have in our lives. Maybe we need to let go of those fears and those lies that society tells us that we're not good enough. Those things that we hear about Generation Y all the time, that we're never going to be successful, that we're lazy. We've got to let go of those. Because the more and more we hold on to those,